The Ghost of Frankenstein opens hilariously with the people of Frankenstein Village doing their usual angry mob thing, looking for a scapegoat for all of their recent troubles. So they get permission from the mayor to blow up Castle Frankenstein after threatening his re-election. Look at that, McCurdy. A politician maintaining power by turning a blind eye toward mob violence to direct attention and ire away from problems he more than likely caused himself. A tale as old as time. Politics. However, their dynamite only serves to free Frankenstein's monster from his internment deep within the hardened sulfur pit below the castle's laboratory. After escaping with Ygor, who is magically still alive as well, the dastardly duo head to another village to find yet another son of Frankenstein, Ludwig, to once more use electricity to help the monsters somehow. We don't know. We're not really told what's going on or why anything is happening at all in this movie. But then Ludwig talks to his father's ghost, who tells him to fix the monster's brain. But then Ygor conspires with Ludwig's assistant to put Ygor's brain into the monster's body so that Ygor will live forever as the monster. But the villagers of this new village form yet another angry mob and bust into the house, but it doesn't matter because a blood type mismatch makes the Ygor monster go blind, so he trashes the lab, which burns down Ludwig's home with the Ygor Monster Combo Thing in it, and then they both die. This movie's an absolute masterpiece.
All right, the director of the previous film, The Wolfman, becomes producer of this next film, The Ghost of Frankenstein. The original script was going to include Basil Rathbone returning as Wolf von Frankenstein. This original script may have also been deemed too depressing and was demanded rewrites, and or when the film was submitted to the production code, it got a lot of kickback by the censors.
It's still depressing, but not in the way that you think it is.
Let me continue. Thank you. Trying to get through this because this movie sucks. On top of this film had to cut corners on its budget, reusing sets from the previous film, The Wolfman. Either way, you can easily see that this film falters for a number of reasons we will get into. Boris Karloff was to reprise this role as the monster, but due to a scheduling conflict, it was quickly decided to swap him out for Universal's new horror icon, Lon Chaney Jr. Wagner did not want Pierce, Jack Pierce that is, to change the look of the monster, even with a new actor. Unfortunately for Chaney, he had a bad reaction to the makeup, which also screwed up the schedule, setting it back further and further into whatever garbage this film is. On a much more touching note, Chaney and the little girl actress Janet Ann Gallo? Chaney. Yes. I don't know why my brain went like, that's not his name.
I'm going to operate to give him a new brain.
Lon Chaney and the little girl actress Janet Ann Gallo got along very well. So much so that when Gallo's mother died a few years later, Lon Chaney had offered to adopt her and her brother. However, Gallo's father had intervened. Kind of sad, but that's actually kind of sweet. Now let's get into who returns for this film, because it's a lot like a big family monster reunion, and I could not stop pointing at the screen like Leo does that one movie that everybody quotes.
Yeah.
It's like,
Once Upon a Time.
That's so what's up.
It reads like an Adam Sandler movie.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like, get the gang
100%.
back together and start cutting checks.
Everybody. Get them
Everybody's
all
getting
in
a
this
payday on
movie.
this piece of
Everybody wants to get in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So besides the obvious big two, Lon Chaney Jr. and Bela Lugosi, we have Cedric Hardwicke as Ludwig Frankenstein. You may remember him as the villain Richard Cobb in The Invisible Man Returns. Ralph Bellamy. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Salami?
As Eric Ernst in this film. Bellamy? Yeah. Baloney. Ralph Baloney. Whatever.
Like this movie.
Eric Ernst in this film, he was Colonel Montford in The Wolfman.
He looks and sounds like the Unsolved Mysteries guy, but it's not him.
Yeah.
Tonight, all new stories on the season premiere of Unsolved Mysteries.
Bela, the gypsy, found dead near the body of Jenny Williams. Cause of death, heavy blows from some sharp instrument.
But it looks and sounds just like him, and it freaks me out.
Lionel Atwill as Dr. Balmer. He was Inspector Krogh in Son of Frankenstein. Evelyn Ankers as this Frankenstein's daughter, Elsa. She was the love interest as Gwen in The Wolfman. Weird note is that the name Elsa was also the name of Wolf's wife in Son of Frankenstein. That's a weird coincidence.
Okay.
Either that or it was like a holdover from the script. Who knows?
Yeah.
So then here's a bunch that like don't really matter, but they're there. Doris Lloyd as Martha. She was Miss Williams in The Wolfman. Holmes Herbert plays a magistrate. He was the police chief in The Invisible Man. Lawrence Grant plays the mayor here, but he was the burgermeister and son, which is sort of the same thing. He was also Sir Thomas Forsyth in Werewolf of London. And Harry Cording as Fron. He was also in Wolfman, The Invisible Man Returns, and Son of Frankenstein. And finally, the last two that really actually matter in this movie. Michael Marks returns from the dead as another councilman in this film. He was killed in Son of Frankenstein, if you remember. Also was in our favorite film, The Mummy's Hand, but most famously was the father of the little girl in the first Frankenstein film where she dies. And last but most importantly, not least, Dwight Fry returns for a cameo as a villager, best remembered as Renfield in Dracula, and Fritz, the first Hunchback, who also is in this film as Fritz the Hunchback.
Yes.
That's all I got.
There are so many people in this movie. You forgot Lionel Belmore, who was in the first and third Frankenstein flicks. I'm glad everybody got a payday because this movie comes at the expense of every other living soul on the planet from here to eternity. This movie is our first instance of a complete waste of time. We haven't had a movie yet where you're like, why is that in my brain now? You know, even The Mummy, which is dry, again, obligatory dry skin mummy joke. This movie is insulting.
This movie just slaps, like, it's the sequel that's just like, it's slapping everybody in the face for all the other previous films.
Everybody gets a check.
Here you go. Here's your check. You were in that one. Okay, here, let's bring them all back. Let's get everybody in the Wolfman, everybody who was in any Frankenstein film prior to this, anybody who was in one of the other films. Cedric, you want to play this? You want to play the Frankenstein guy? Here you go. You can. You were the bad guy in that film. You can come back. Everybody's in this movie, but this movie sucks.
The biggest problem of this movie is that we have no idea why anything is happening from scene to scene. And nobody has any consistent motivation, nor any motivation at all, really. It's like, take all the Frankenstein movies, put them in a blender, dump it out, lay it out, and then just set that to random. And you have this movie. And it's, even though it brings back all these people, and even though it has Bella, and even though it, it doesn't have Boris, but Boris, we should toast to Boris again
for
getting out.
He lucked out, man. He got out of there.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to do this film.
Yeah.
You can tell there was some thought originally in this idea of this movie. And I do wonder if there was more to be said about Basil Rathbone, like this would have been the revenge of Ygor or something. Like he comes back and he was going to come after Wolf von Frankenstein. That would have been a much better movie.
Yeah.
Instead, we got a different brother, which doesn't make any sense really because they don't really establish anything. And it's like out of nowhere, Igor's walking in the woods with the Frankenstein monster. And they're like,
we will go to Ludwig, the second son of Frankenstein. He has all the secrets of his father who created you. We will force him to harness the lightning for you. He will give you strength of 100 men. Come, we're going to find Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh, we got to go find the other son of Frankenstein. You're like, what?
Yeah,
Why?
that's your first
moment. Why do we need to do that?
Your first moment of, oh no, doesn't come for maybe, let's say, 5 minutes. Because the movie opens with, things are not good in Frankenstein Village. It's the curse. We've heard that before. That's kind of how they started out, son. Yeah. People are pissed off. It must be the Frankensteins.
It's the curse. The curse of Frankenstein.
This is nonsense, folks. You talk as though these were the Dark Ages. You know as well as I do that the monster died in the sulfur pit under Frankenstein's tower. And that Ygor, his familiar, was riddled with bullets from the gun of Baron Frankenstein himself.
But Ygor does not die that easily. They hanged him and broke his neck. But he lives.
Haven't I seen him sitting beside the hardened sulfur pit, playing his weird horn, as if to lure the monster back from death, to do his evil bidding.
You talk like frightened children.
Well, if something isn't done, there'll be a new mayor after the fall election. Aye.
Okay, cool. What are we going to do? Let's go blow it up. Great. That frees the monster, and then Ygor.
That's the other thing, is Igor's also back.
Why is Ygor alive when we saw him get shot dead? in Son, they established that the monster is eternal.
Cannot be destroyed. Cannot die.
That was established, so you're like, fine, even though he was burned alive. Whatever. It's a hardened sulfur pit. I can buy that he's alive. But Ygor being alive, the only thing they said, the villagers were like, oh, it was black magic that brought him back to life, or like the curse of Frankenstein, whatever Frankenstein, all this weird stuff's always happening with the Frankensteins. Right. We blame Frankenstein.
Ygor came to life again. It's the devil's work, not the cult's.
Whatever. But we saw him get shot dead, and so bringing him back that's your first moment of, okay, I can suspend disbelief because I like Bela Lugosi, and where will this go? Where will this go? And then the first dumbest scene ever happens where they escape, and then they're just walking through the wilderness, and Frankenstein is trying to get hit by lightning. Sorry, Frank. You know what? Fuck saying the monster. I'm just going to call him Frank. Frank and Ygor are walking through the wilderness, and Frank's
not Larry. Frank.
Larry, yeah, Larry and
not
Frank.
Larry.
Larry and Frank hang out in the next movie.
Just call me Larry.
Yes.
Okay. So he's trying to get hit by lightning, and Igor's saying, "Oh no, that's bad. That's bad." And then he gets hit, and that's our reminder of
the lightning. It is good for you. Your father was Frankenstein. That your mother was the lightning. She has come down to you again.
Your father was Frankenstein and your mother was lightning.
Even though in the last movie he got struck by lightning and it put him in a coma.
There was a great storm, and he was standing under a tree when lightning struck.
And you need your strength back. So let's go to Frankenstein's other son, which I can buy another son, but his whole thing is you need to get your strength back. But there's never an instance in this movie of Frank not having his strength, to the point where I would have bought that if when he pulled him out of the sulfur pit, if he couldn't even stand up and Ygor had to struggle to get him on a cart or something and cart his body out. And then he's like, you're so weak that you need to get your strength back. We need to find another Frankenstein. That would have worked. But there's never an instance in this movie of Frank being weak. In fact, it's the opposite. They show up at a new village, and what is the first thing he does? He murders 2 people.
He's already killed 2 of the villagers.
He murders 2 guys, and you're going to tell me he needs strength? What is happening and why?
To me, Reddit reads like it feels like they had this idea for an opening that was pretty strong. And the opening of this does feel strong. Like you get Dwight Fry, as we like to talk about, because he's in the shot and you see him as they're talking, but you don't recognize it's him at first. And then all of a sudden he just...
Destroy the castle. Wipe the last traces of these accursed Frankensteins from our land.
There's Dwight Fry. And it's such a like,
I like that guy.
You've seen him in all these other movies. You're like, I know him.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. And then you see the villagers, they got all this dynamite, they blow up the castle. It's this big opening for this movie. And you're like, okay, I'm kind of on board. I want to see where this goes. And then it's like, well, we got to connect this original idea for a script to this new idea for a script. And that new idea being, we're going to get into brain surgery for some reason.
I'm giving him another brain.
Like I can kind of buy it where they're like, okay, the other son was a doctor. The other son is also a doctor, so it doesn't behoove me to be like, okay, he could have been a brain surgeon. Cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But then that's where we have to come do this complete shift into this other plot where we never set it up enough to be like, okay, he figured out, like if Ygor had figured out, oh, he's a brain surgeon and I could use this to my advantage or something like that. We never have that scene or that moment where prior to meeting him. So that just feels weird. But so
yeah,
it's have
just
some
strength.
Weird way of connecting it to it.
Just the strength thing.
Just his strength.
We need to get your strength back, but he can walk and he can kill people and he can do all the things he's always been able to do. I mean, the only thing he can't do is talk anymore. If he was like, we got to get your speech back. And, and then the new son of Frankenstein is a speech pathologist, that would make sense. As stupid as that would be, that would make sense. But here it's, you need your strength. And so they go see new Frankenstein and he blackmails him. He's like,
ever since the day my father put life into that creature, it has been a curse. The terrible consequences of his creation killed my father, drove my brother into exile. The monster shall not ruin my life. I'm happy here. I have a lovely daughter. Friends. They know nothing of all this.
You wouldn't like to spoil that, Doctor, would you? You wouldn't want me to tell them that you, the son of the Frankenstein, had created him? That your brother made the thing live after it had been dead for years? Do you want me to tell them, Frankenstein?
No.
I'll expose you for being a Frankenstein. But the guy's name is already Frankenstein. It's on his mailbox. It's on the sign outside his house. I'm a Frankenstein. So people probably already know. That threat would only make sense if his name was Frankenstein and he was trying to hide his lineage.
I have one question, Dr. Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
I beg your pardon?
My name. It's pronounced Frankenstein.
But he didn't. He's out front. I'm a Frankenstein. And he's like, but I'll expose you. It's like, that's a non-threat. The consequences of making the monster killed my father. I'm not gonna repeat that mistake. But you better give him strength again, or I'll tell everyone who you are. That's what's going on. There's no cohesiveness to what's going on in this plot. It's extremely loose and nothing's happening for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and then we get into his house and that we start setting up stuff like, okay, we didn't even talk about the girl in that instance. So now they've also set up this weird plot that does feel like the thing that you were talking about. Like, let's take all the elements and put it in a blender and then stick it on the wall.
A little girl that he interacts with, yeah.
It feels like, oh, wait, there was a little girl in that first movie. But what if this time he has, like, a relationship with this little girl? And, like, I could see a thread of something being like, you know, the little girl represents youth and, like, childlike
well, he's a little
wonder.
Boy. He's
a little boy,
Frank
and
is
like
a little
you
boy.
could see that. Yeah, but the problem is it just comes kind of out of nowhere, where he sees this little girl who's upset with these bully kids who are my favorite thing in this movie. Because they're like, you can't get, like, they take her little balloon ball thing and chuck it, which sets off the beginning of them going into this town.
Like, yeah, you
and the
suck.
one kid's just like, you suck. You can't even get that ball. Like, it's like the worst delivery. And it's like, you could see the director being, you know, off screen. It's like, now tell her this. Tell her that she sucks.
Yeah.
Tell her that her mom dressed her weird.
They're setting up the sequel, Franken.
Right. So then we get that moment. And so now, like, the monster's motivated to be like, oh, I'm going to get the ball for her.
Can you get my ball?
Which in turn, he kills two people trying to do it because everyone's like, it's the monster. He has the little girl. He's going to kill the little girl.
Yeah, it's a good call because every time Frank is out in public, people immediately judge him based on his appearance, even if he means well.
Right.
Christine, ask your friend to bring you down, dear. Ask your friend to bring you down.
Please take me down to Daddy.
Tell him no one will hurt him.
Take me down. My daddy says no one will hurt you.
We'll get into the brain stuff. That's why I don't like the good brain, bad brain stuff, because these stories have always been more about people being prejudiced against him because of how he looks. And then when he just goes, when he's confused, people see it as aggressive. Right. And so he's trying to help this little girl, and these guys are running up to him, and he's going, and he's just hitting them, and he's killing them
because he has super strength.
Even though, according to Ygor, this movie.
He doesn't. He needs his strength back.
It's always a big misunderstanding. That's the thing. It's always a big misunderstanding that leads to the downfall, and that's the beauty of a story like this. Two groups who are prejudiced against each other, and all it takes is one miscommunication for the whole thing to fall apart, and eventually you have a mob coming after this guy who actually meant well. You know, that's one of the best themes of Frankenstein in general.
It just feels weird within the mythos, right? Because he He had killed a little girl before. He may have saved somebody in the past, but it just feels odd that they put this element in the movie.
The little girl scene is like, oh, we're just doing stuff we've already done. Okay, where's this going to go? As opposed to Ygor not just walking into the village with this giant monster-looking guy, but being a little more secretive and trying to get to Ludwig without, like being a little more inconspicuous, but instead all the little kid things happen, misunderstanding, blah, blah, blah. But then once Ygor confronts Ludwig, they do another rewriting the canon thing, right? Or like a all you need to know type of situation where he pulls out his secret stash of notes. So he magically has the notes of his father and his brother as if something happened to Wolf, even though nothing happened to Wolf.
Goodbye.
I did like that he had it because I remember that
liked
scene
how he
from the
pulled it out.
last movie.
He like whipped
it's like
the
in a
books
secret
away
compartment.
Like that was cool. But the fact that he has it,
you're like, why does he have it?
It's another one of those things where you just have to get on board with it.
A story fix would have been like, well, why don't you instead make Ludwig the little boy from the last movie? You could have done something weird with that, where it was like
the grandson?
the son of Frankenstein, the grandson of Frankenstein. Yeah, you could have done something like that. Maybe it cast people differently, and Ygor might have been a little different, but you could have done something weird like that.
Or just don't make this movie.
That too. I like that one as well.
So he starts digging into the notes, and he comes to the conclusion that
this monster must be destroyed.
Destroyed? But how? He's not subject to the ordinary laws of life.
There is a way. It was made limb by limb, organ by organ. It must be unmade in the same way.
Dissection?
Bit by bit, piece by piece, just as my father created it.
He's like, okay, I'm not going to make my father's mistake, right? It's just repeat again. It's the Frankenstein
just like repeat
blender.
the last one.
Repeat the last one.
That would vindicate my father. And his name would be enshrined among the immortals.
Reminds me of Spectre.
This is Spectre. Like, not to get ahead of ourselves, but this is where we put Spectre below Yolt. Yolt is Yolty. It's underwhelming. But Spectre's so bad that it went below the driest of the dry Bond movies. So anyway, the only way to undo my father's mistake is dissection. We have to piece by piece cut Frank to pieces, right? Okay, cool. But then he's visited by his father's ghost.
For no reason.
My son. What are you about to do? Would you destroy that which I, your father, dedicated his life to creating?
I must.
The monster you created is in itself destruction. Nevertheless, I was near to solving a problem that has baffled man since the beginning of time. The secret of life, artificially created. But it has brought death to everything that it's touched. That is because, unknowingly, I gave it a criminal brain. With your knowledge of science, you can cure that.
Doesn't make any sense.
But it's played by the same actor as Ludwig. It's played by
Cedric Hardwicke. Yeah, because Cedric Hardwicke had to play that character. Yeah. Because they don't have Colin Clive at this point has passed away.
Okay.
So
but that's fine.
Colin Clive.
That's fine if you're going to do that. But we already had flashbacks showing us the original Frankenstein actor. That's a terrible call. Do one or the other, but not both. Remember, his daughter goes into the study and she starts reading the old notes and they show the flashback of Colin from the original movie. So we already showed him, but then they show his ghost. So you're like...
Yeah, and part of that is another one of those budget cut things where they were like, well, we need more screen time. So they're like, yeah, we can use clips from the first movie to just intermittently. And then obviously they had to hide Boris Karloff in that. So then they swap him out for Lon Chaney Jr. Monster in those clips too.
They could have done the same thing with Ludwig. Like that actor could have They could have reshot just a few things with him as Frankenstein, but instead it's like, no, have him play the ghost of his dad. This is where you start going, oh my God, this is an absolute mess. Like, why do you even need to have the scene of the ghost of his dad showing up out of nowhere? Why is that necessary?
Yeah, because at least in the last movie, he's like more inspired by, I'm going to fix my father's work. Like, that's his inspiration. It's like, I've already got, the town doesn't like me. I'm going to fix that. And so I'm going to fix my father's work and try to fix the monster or whatever. There's at least motivation there. And again, we've talked about it. There's the problems there because we don't really see him doing a lot. But here it's just like, how do we get to that point? His ghost shows up.
What if it had another brain?
They were doing Tana leaves and all of a sudden they were just like, yeah, the ghost shows up.
If anything, it probably should have just been named The Curse of Frankenstein, because that's how this opens up.
That would work better, yeah.
That's how the movie opens up, with people being like, this whole town is cursed because of this butthead from way back. The whole time he's talking about just how it led to the ruin of his family, and it's been this generational thing. It's affected all of these lives, this selfishness of the Frankenstein from way back in the first movie and the second movie. And yet they make this horrible call to have this ghost show up out of nowhere, which isn't it kind of ironic that it's like one of the core themes of these stories is don't mess with death.
Perhaps death is sacred.
We can defeat death. But then to have him show up as a ghost, an immortal spirit that lives on, coming from the guy who was messing around with death, like playing God, and, you know, like where it's like,
what is going on?
These are conflicting themes. Like if death is death and you end, then maybe you should try to defeat it. But it's like, it's, I don't think they were thinking that hard when they pulled the trigger on this stupid
They were literally
ghost
going,
idea.
we got to figure, we got to throw, we were like, we got to come up with something. It's a ghost. Okay, cool. Let's throw that in. Yeah. Then we get to brain surgery. That's where the movie starts to feel like, okay, this is the distinct thing about the film where it's like everything leading up to getting to this point is a little wonky, but this, I'm like, okay, this is kind of like, this is where we're at in the movie, even though there's a lot of back and forth on the motivations with some of the characters. And it doesn't make any sense because they had an idea but they were like, we got to flesh this out a little bit more, or it's the other way around and they had some other ideas and they had to swap it for brain surgery because that became a thing at the time, I guess, maybe. And then it becomes this whole motivation thing where the monster kills one of Dr. Frankenstein's guys.
Just out of convenience.
Out of convenience. And then your favorite thing in the first film is that he realizes that because the ghost says, oh, I used a criminal's brain by mistake because Dwight Fry, switched it out.
Yeah.
So we have that whole bit. So then he's like, well, I will get my buddy who's dead. I'll put his brain in the monster's body, and then he'll be this intelligent guy.
I'm giving him another brain. You must explain to him when he becomes conscious. You must make him understand.
Whose brain?
Kettering? Yes, Kettering. A man of character and learning. The monster will cease to be an evil influence and become everything that is good.
No. No. You cannot take my friend away from me. He's all that I have.
Meanwhile, Ygor is scheming and he tells the inspector from the last movie, who now plays his assistant in this film, you put my brain in the monster.
You will see to it that the brain of Kettering does not go into the head of the monster.
But why?
My brain will go into it.
Out of nowhere, doesn't make any sense why he wants this. It's just because this whole time he's like, he's my friend. And the only thing they connect it with is like, I'm such his friend that I want to be so close to my friend that you should put my brain into his body.
You can put my brain in his body.
Your brain?
You can make us one. We'll be together always. My brain and his body together.
You're a cunning fellow, Ygor. Do you think that I put your sly and sinister brain into the body of a giant? Huh. That would be a monster indeed.
The motivations are all over the place.
It's everywhere.
He tells Bomer or whatever, the assistant, you put my brain in this immortal monster, and I will become so powerful that I will become the leader of the country.
My brain in that body would make me a leader of men. We would rule the state and even the whole country.
I'm going to become just General Frankenstein, Emperor Frankenstein. General Frank, Emperor Frank, and then I will elevate you to a position of power.
How would you like to be the leader of your profession in this state? The head of the medical commission, the regent of the university.
That's the promise, which is so dumb and so insulting and so ridiculous.
It's when it becomes a comic book. I've been saying this before. These films start to get into this realm of like something you would read out of a comic book. It reads like it would be in a comic book. And I wouldn't be surprised if comic books of the time saw this movie, the writers saw this movie, and then put those ideas into their books with brain swaps and changing people's brains and be like, oh, well, we'll take this person and then his brain's now in this character.
A lot of these movies have had the themes of duality of man, free will, Christianity and animal versus man, that type of thing. That's why I get so annoyed with the criminal brain thing, because yes, it has some basis in scientific fact. Like, there have been bad guys who famously have these violent episodes and they say, I want you to study my brain after I'm dead. And it turns out that they had some growth that was pushing on some part of the brain that caused them to be aggressive. I get that, but it's still, thematically speaking,
you don't need it, is what you've been always getting at.
Here's the thing. In all of these movies, does Frank kill because it has a criminal brain, or because society judges him based on his appearance and he reacts accordingly? Because if it was just his brain, he wouldn't behave like a child. Book monster can read and write and speak and be reasoned with. Movie monster is like a newborn, a childish mind in an adult's body, undisciplined and yet an imposing figure that terrifies people. And so when he kills, it is usually in self-defense because of their fearful and often violent reaction to his presence. Or it's a complete accident. Either way, it's always a big misunderstanding. It's not the devious criminality of murder for the sake of murder, as if he got the brain of a serial killer or something. But in this movie, this odd thematic shortcoming of the whole good brain, bad brain thing reaches a new level of stupidity because he gets Ygor's brain, and suddenly he is Ygor.
I'm Ygor. I have the strength of 100 men. I cannot die. I cannot be destroyed. I, Ygor, will live forever.
So what does this say about the abnormal brain he received in the first movie? Was that a criminal's brain, or was it the brain of a complete imbecile? Because Frankie is certainly no criminal mastermind. He's more like a big baby.
You say, Your Honor, this mad beast cannot even talk.
He's the undisciplined child who didn't have a good father, and that's why society punishes him, just like all undisciplined children that eventually get punished by society. That's why it's so frustrating, because it's more like he's reacting to his environment more so than he's just going out there like an animal off the chain and just murdering people. So either way, thematically, it sucks. Even if it has nothing but pure scientific fact behind it, thematically, it sucks because it flies in the face of free will, which has been a theme of many of these movies, including these. So everything I've been saying about choosing good over evil, Bride showcased those influences, the complex influences of good and evil really well. This just comes down to good brain versus an evil brain. That's just lazy and unimaginative writing in a story, and it just throws duality of man out the window. It's just frustratingly deterministic. It's just nature above nurture, even though we keep seeing the nurture. We keep seeing the townspeople react to him and then him reacting to the townspeople in this miscommunication. Oh no, bad guys are just born that way. So it's like you keep saying, it's like, it's comic book, it's soap operatic.
And not in a good way. And not in a good way.
Yeah.
Comic book can be good, but it's more like when we talked in some of these movies, even the Bond films, it's like comic book can be fun.
Totally.
But, and sometimes that's the case. Like The Mummy's Hand, it was a fun movie, even though it was poorly written. Those elements can be fun, yes. But then when they're like really just all over the place and just feels like somebody's like, well, what happens next? I don't know. What if this happens, but it has no motivation or anything behind it? Then you're like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. And I think that movie, this is what drags the whole movie down. On top of this, we didn't even go back to this one, was that the little girl's also wrapped in this whole charade because the monster comes, steals the little girl, and then tells Ygor that he wants his brain to be swapped with the little girl's.
No, you do not understand. It would kill her. You wouldn't want to kill your little friend. But Ygor has a better idea. You will see. You will have the brain of your friend Ygor. Tonight, my brain will be your brains. Tonight, Ygor will die for you.
What does he want?
I'm going to operate to give him a new brain. He wants the brain of that child.
Take me home. Please take me home.
The monster wants the little girl's brain in his body. Ludwig wants his friend's brain in his body. And then Ygor wants his brain in his body for reasons we don't really like, which come out of nowhere, really.
Yeah.
So it's all about whose brain's going to get into the body. And then the end of the movie, it's Ygor. And you're like, okay, which sort of makes sense. It adds conflict.
He wasn't on Tana Leaves. He was on Monocaine, Duocaine, Monoduocaine.
Right.
He just had these delusions of grandeur.
Don't you see what my power does for me? I could sit in on the councils of kings and dictators. It makes me king.
If I am combined with Frank, then I will take over the world, you know? And so, yeah, it's like this brain and that brain and the monster randomly kidnapping the girl as if does the monster understand that they want to cure his brain? So he just went, oh, well, if you're going to, you'd think that, okay, it's so stupid. The monster may or may not know that if his brain is swapped out, he effectively dies, right? But maybe for some reason he wants to be the girl, so he gets her brain. But no. None of this is because of this brain or that brain. It turns out to all just be screenwriting convenience, because even though they try to play it off like the monster wants the little girl's brain instead of his brain, it ends up just being a plot device to get the mob stirred up to destroy the manor at the end of the story.
That's it. She was stolen. Stolen by the fiend who murdered Carl and Joseph.
There's only one person that would protect a maniac like that.
Who?
Dr. Frankenstein. Let's go to Frankenstein and choke the truth out of him.
That's all it is.
Because that's usually what these movies are. It's like we got to wait till the mob shows up, which is what the last movie felt like. So you're right. It is just a setup to get the mob to come. And then when it does come, it's like, Elsa, what were you doing with the little girl the entire time? Which also, here's the other weird part about this movie that we didn't even bring up. There's a part of me that feels like this movie's a little too, and maybe it's just me reading into today's world. There's a little bit of a pedophilia thing that goes on with this film that seems really weird to me, because it's like you've got this man with this little girl, and then they're holding hostage of this little girl for a good portion of the time, where it's like, this feels icky. Like there's something icky about this movie.
Yeah. When he's holding her casually and she's like this, and she's like,
yeah,
please take me home. And you're like, get that girl home.
There's something icky about this movie that is kind of unsettling. And then on top of that, we've even got a scene that we didn't even mention was like, there's just this random cute little blonde girl that shows up out of nowhere. She's just in lederhosen, and she's got
Jaws' girlfriend,
bunch of goose.
Dolly shows up.
Jaws' girlfriend, Dolly shows up, and she's just like, hey. And I'm like, I'm willing to bet that is some producer's girlfriend who's like 12 years old or some weird stuff like that.
He wanted to dress her up to look 12 years old. He said, get into costume, baby. Don't get out of costume when you come over tonight. Stay in costume.
We are demonetized. This is like nobody wants to hear this during Halloween. They're like, I don't want to hear about this. I'm like, that's Hollywood, baby.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood, baby. That's I just want to say that is the weird thing that I remember as I'm watching this. I'm like, this is a weird plot line to throw in this movie. And I get like maybe there's more an innocence of it when they were making it, but like watching it, you're like, this is weird. Like, what are we doing, guys?
You can try to make sense of it, but it really is just a plot device to stir up the mob to get them to the manor at the end. Because again, it's like, what are you telling me that the monster's going out there shopping for brains? Is he aware that they're going to do that? I thought it was almost secretive that they were going to swap out his brain. Yeah. It's just like, don't make sense of it. Just understand that it's lazy. So Igor's like, hey, that's going to kill the little girl. If you do that, that's going to kill the girl. Take my brain instead. I'm going to die for you. So I guess even though Ygor up to this point has just been like, this is my only friend, now Ygor is stabbing Frank in the back to get his body arbitrarily. Because rather than losing his friend, because all of a sudden this scientist guy's brain is going to be in the body of Frank, Igor's like I might as well just, exactly. It's like, just instead of trying to make sense of it, just realize that this is really lazy and doesn't make sense and is just set to shuffle, right? So the only person dying according to the logic of the movie is the monster. So are people trying to manipulate him in order? Because again, it's like if I can become the monster, then I'll be immortal and I'll take over the world. And then on top of that, you have the assistant to Frankenstein is jealous because he used to be Frankenstein's teacher.
The great Dr. Bulber, who taught Frankenstein everything he knows.
In those days, I was the master. Frankenstein was just the pupil.
Even though they're like the same age,
it doesn't.
It's
so weird.
It's just lazy and just one bad call on top of another.
Yeah, it's the weird part is like someone will watch this and go, but wait a minute, you would have said the same thing about The Mummy's Hand or this movie. And I'm like, the problem is that The Mummy's Hand is enjoyable and entertaining and fun.
And makes sense.
It's stupid.
It actually makes sense beginning to end.
It's stupid, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Werewolf of London is also a mess. We kind of hate that movie, but like that movie at least sort of makes sense, even if it's a little convoluted.
It's just because of one character, Yogami, not making any sense at all.
That's the only thing. But
every other character
kind of
checks
coalesces.
out.
And The Mummy makes sense. The Mummy's, as much as we complained about it being a dry movie, and it is dull and it's maybe not as fun, it still makes sense. There's some convenience towards the end of the movie, but like overall, you're kind of interested in what's going to happen next, and it doesn't go all over the place as the character's motivations. At least throughout the entire story, we know that Imhotep's whole goal is to bring back his ancient love and bring her back from
the grave. And thou shalt rise again.
Motivations check out. Even if you're questioning things and questioning the logic, all those stories are arrows from A to Z. This movie is just shuffling. It's I can't put it any better way than just take all the previous Frankenstein movies, put them in a blender, lay them out, and then put that on shuffle even further. It's just random Frankensteinian stuff left and right.
And it's not fun.
And it's not fun.
It has no, this movie hardly has any humor. I think part of that is because Cedric, like Basil Rathbone there was something about his charisma that you were like, he's kind of fun. Like, I don't know what it is, but he's kind of fun.
But of course I know who did. Haven't you heard? The monster.
The inspector, also kind of interesting character, kind of fun. Ygor in that film, in Son, much better. Way better Ygor.
Totally.
There's something sinister about it. There's something menacing. This film, the makeup's not as good. It's like they just said, we don't really need the hump as much as we did in the last film. He can just walk around like this.
Yeah.
And he's just not as fun of a character. And then
he had a motivation in Son. He had a reason for doing everything he was doing. Here, it's like, we got to get your strength back, but then we got to swap brains, and you better do this. You better give the monster strength, even though he already has strength. You better give my friend his strength back, or I'm going to tell everybody who you are, right? So you would think that he would then, maybe if the doctor didn't, you would hope the doctor would say no. A good story, he would say no, and then Ygor would go around and start planting seeds of of mischief amongst the people. Flash forward to the end of the movie, when the townspeople are coming to the conclusion, they're all gathered up and they're like, only the crazy Dr. Frankenstein could be harboring the monster and have stolen the little girl, right? That actually happens in this movie. That would have made more sense if Ygor was telling people, oh, he's nuts. But up until then, it seems as though Frankenstein is a respected member of the community. Remember, they even bring him into the trial.
He's not
consult.
The Frankenstein of the other previous film.
Dr. Frankenstein is here. Let him examine the prisoner now.
He's perceived differently, yeah.
Yes, nobody brings up his lineage. They just say at the end that he's crazy, even though before, it contradicts with before where he's a respected member of the community. The movie just keeps contradicting itself to where you're like, you are wasting my time. You are wasting my time watching this movie. You're not entertaining me. You're frustrating me, and you're f***ing with all the other Frankenstein movies, you know?
And on top of all this, I think Lon Chaney just is not good as the monster.
No.
He was great as the Wolfman. As the monster, it's like there's something about his performance that just doesn't work in the same way as it did for Karloff. There was something kind of undead, but he always brought something to that performance. Whereas here, it's, okay, it makes sense to make him the monster. He's this big dude, but he just doesn't have any, like...
Boris was always projecting that sympathy because the monster needs that sympathy where he is a child, right? And he's always going, He's he's throwing sympathy at the audience, whereas here Lon Chaney is just staring.
He doesn't emote. He's not doing anything.
And that's kind of why, makeup-wise, I don't appreciate the fact that they put these huge eyelids on him, because it just kills any kind of emoting that he could do. And obviously, we're not saying that the monster should be like animated, but he should at least, he should not be like just a corpse. Like, I know he's a reanimated corpse, but he shouldn't just
he should have some
a corpse.
Karloff even shows he was able to show some emotion through the makeup, and this is like he can't do that at all. The other thing that we didn't even get to is the end of the movie,
where all of this idiocy all collides
into idiotics.
The monster, as you know, was a homicidal maniac. He killed Dr. Kettering, but Dr. Kettering lives again. His brain is now inside the skull of the monster. I have replaced an evil brain with a good one. I have made amends for the great tragedy that my father and my brother unintentionally brought to this community. I have restored the good name of Frankenstein.
You are Dr. Frankenstein.
And you are Dr. Kettering.
I am not Dr. Kettering. I am Ygor.
What have I done?
Then it's Ygor, and Ygor says hello, and of course they do a weird dub thing, because they could do that. They're like, oh, we'll have Lugosi dub Chaney's voice, or his voice over him.
Yeah.
So he starts talking, and he's revealing his plan. He's getting all dastardly, and he's like, ah ha ha, I am now the monster, and I will destroy you, and I'm whatever.
I will
and
live
then all of a sudden,
forever.
And then all of a sudden, I will live forever. It's like the worst dub, but it's awesome.
I, Ygor, will live forever.
Awesome in a bad way, I guess. But but for some reason, he's blind. He becomes blind.
I can't see. Mother, where are you?
Here I am. I can see you.
Your dream of power is over, Boma. You didn't realize his blood is the same type as Kettering's, but not the same as Ygor's.
Oh, the blood types never matched. I'm like, what? Like, when did we talk about blood types? I know that's a modern thing for this time in the 1940s, but what? Because Ygor's blood type didn't match the brain? He became blind?
Yeah.
What?
And it's the assistant's fault. It's Bomer's fault or whatever.
I made a slight miscalculation.
Frankenstein's is like, you idiot, you forgot to check the blood types.
What good is a brain without eyes to see? What good is a brain without eyes?
That wasn't necessary, right? I mean, like, if anything, it's more impressive if you can find a way to take down Ygor Monster without there just being this ace in the hole, right in a piece of dialogue where he's just like, oh no, I'm blind. You didn't reverse the polarity on the super badooter. Oh no. And now his feet don't work. It's just throwing this screenwriting ace in the hole there to just do a quick fix on how we get to the big dumb ending, which is that he just bumbles around, just falls into things until the entire place goes up in smoke.
Just blows and it just blows up, and then
the end. Like, everybody go cash your checks quick before they bounce, because this movie's not going to make a lot of money.
This movie, but what's funny is when this movie came out, apparently, like, there was some reports like, it's as good as the other movies, and then the New York Times and all the New Yorkers was like, this movie was garbage. Like,
good for them.
So it's like, you can tell somebody paid somebody off to be like, oh, you should say great things about this movie. And you're like, no, this movie is trash.
You mean even 100 years ago, reviewers in the media were lying about a movie just for a payday? I thought they invented that recently. I thought that came about.
This is Hollywood, baby. Ha ha.
Yeah.
So, Chucky,
we cut
I know
checks and molest German girls. Yeah. Hey, Dolly, don't take those braces off before you come home tonight.
Awful. You're awful. Gosh.
Wait, she didn't have braces because we're in that timeline.
You're horrible. Oh, yeah. Good call.
Yeah.
Hey, no tenna leaves.
No tenna leaves.
No tenna leaves.
I smuggle gold, diamond, cigarettes, pistachio nuts, but no heroin.
What would you say? I ship blood, Monocaine, but no Tana leaves.
Wolfsbane.
Wolfsbane,
but no Tana leaves.
But no Tana leaves.
Well, no Tana leaves. Even though there's no actual connective tissue with the lore of these films, I love how we've kind of like in our own way have created the connective tissue of like different elements. Like in, the Marvel universe, it's like they got vibranium and now they have antimanium and all the whatever, all this repulsor beams and all this stuff that's like, oh, that was an Iron Man. This was in this.
Yeah.
And here we've got Wolfsbane, we have blood, we've got monocaine and duocaine, and now we also have the Tana leaves. Regardless, Chucky, where it should be obvious, but where are we ranking this movie?
Below the sulfur pit, in the bowels of wherever they were flushing the poop out of Frankenstein's castle that went below the sulfur down into the depths, the untold depths of the earth.
So we buried the mummy in the sand, but this is like below that.
Yeah. Then miles and miles of generations of Frankensteinian poop flushed down. And then the center of everything, where everything goes to die and never be seen again. That's the Ghost of Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. And I can't disagree. This movie's garbage. I don't have anything else to add.
This is a sad waste of everybody's time, but it gave Dwight Fry, allowed him to stay in his Hollywood Hills home for a little bit while longer and keep snorting Tana leaves with his buddies. Baby. I'm just going to throw it right in there. Number 14.
Yeah.
The Ghost of Frankenstein. It's not a good one. Just don't bother with this movie. Mummy's Hand is awful, but you enjoy watching it. You're like,
it's so stupid and it's awesome. Yeah, that one's fun. That's one. It's still on this list. It's one of my favorites. One day I'll just tell people, they're like, "What's your favorite movie?" And I'll be like, "The Mummy's Hand," and they'll watch him like, "This is stupid." I'm like, "I know, it's fun."
It took the previous really dry, just kind of poorly written movie, and it fixed
this
it.
one
It
more
made
an
it an adventure movie.
film and fun, and there are people shooting each other like this, and mummies on the grass.
9 Tana leaves, Dr. Petrie. That wouldn't mean anything to you.
This one took its previous iterations and bastardized them. Just, I'll say it for the third time. Just put it in a blender, just dumped it out, and then just shuffled that around and was just like, okay, lightning, castle, little girl, scientist doing something with brains. Okay, sell it.
Right. Slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now you're selling it. You want to sell it.
With no regard for how amazing these Frankenstein movies have been up until now. They're in positions 1, 3, and 5. They have been fantastic. And if this guy could die, he would roll in his grave. But he's an immortal creature that will come back for yet another sequel. So we'll see how they do on that one.
Yeah.
Buy a mug. These mugs are great. You can fill it with booze or blood.
Or Tana leaves. But you don't even know what that means.
But you don't even know what that means yet.
Oh my God, dude. That's what we got to do. We got to do like a little like ad for those mugs.
You
Just
don't
be
even
like,
know
get
what
your
that
Amazon.
means.
But you don't even, or Tana leaves, but you don't even know what that means. Because they won't. Nobody will know what that means unless you've seen these movies. And I doubt most of anybody who watches us has seen any of these. All right, who are we toasting to?
All I got is those little kids. That's all I got.
Those bully kids
The
are
bully
awesome.
kids, yeah.
They're my favorite part. They're only in the movie for maybe 5 seconds, but they're like, ha ha, you can't get in the ball because you suck.
Yeah, like you
it's great.
suck, little girl.
Because this movie sucks.
Just getting in her face. Just getting in her f***ing little girl face.
I have nothing nice to say about this movie. It's not a good movie. Sorry. The only person that if I was being serious about giving a honorable toast to in this film would probably be Cedric Hardwicke, only because I actually thought his performance in Invisible Man Returns was light years better than it was here.
Yeah.
And I think that movie, it's like, there is a scene, it would be like the giving Leo the Oscar for The Revenant. It's like, he's had better movies than that one. And this, it's like, it's not his best movie. It sucks as this movie, he's trying to play a different character. He's not in the right movie. He's too serious this entire film. But then when you saw him in Invisible Man Returns, there's like one great scene with him. You see like he's got this unrequited love for the main girl in that film. And it's kind of
Who wouldn't?
Kind of creepy, but like kind of also like
in that one moment, you're going,
you understand
I totally
it.
understand
You're like,
this
I get
guy.
it.
Yeah.
I get this character. He's awful. But then in this movie, it's just like, it sucks. It's not good in this movie.
He does have one moment I think is toast worthy. And you can say it's funny, but he played it really seriously. So I'm with you 100% because, well, honorable mention to the bullies. But I'm with you on Cedric. But I'm with you on Cedric because right there at the end, he's like, I did it. I did what my father couldn't do. I did what my brother couldn't do. I have saved my family's name. He's apparently, by all measures, he's been the good Frankenstein up until now. And then he's tempted in the same way that Wolf was. And because he's a brain surgeon, he's like, I know I can do it.
The first time the human brain has been removed from the skull, subjected to surgery, and then replaced.
With success, we hope.
I can save my family's legacy by doing what I do best. And so he does. It's just that his assistant, undermined him for a dumb motivation, which was that he taught him everything he knew. That makes no sense. But getting to the point, outside the door, he's like, I did it, and I will show you. Come in. I'll show you. I saved my father's legacy. And then the moment that Ygor's voice comes out of Frank's mouth, he said, what does he say? He goes,
I've created 100 times the monster that my father made.
I've made a mistake 100 times worse than my father's. And he plays it so well to where he's the only guy actually bringing it. And he's like Pierce Brosnan in Die Another Day in this. He's the only guy taking it seriously.
He is. He's like, he's like, I'm doing a different movie than everybody else. And sometimes that hurts this movie.
They finally gave me the lead role, and I'm going to do my best.
I'm going to milk it and be serious. Everybody else is just like, it's a paycheck, dude. I don't know what you're saying. He's like, and then it finally has that realization at the end of the movie, and he's like, I've made a grave mistake because I'm in this movie.
Like, oh no.
Because I'm in this movie.
Yeah. They got in the theater, and he sat next to Boris Karloff, and he's like, Boris, you made a horrible mistake not being in this movie, dude. And then just as the movie's ending, he's like, I've made a mistake 1,000 times worse than anything you've ever done, Boris, by being in this piece of shit.
By being in this movie. Jeez. Well, here's to Cedric. I think it's Sir Hardwicke. I think it's actually Sir. And if you recall, he actually had top billing in Invisible Man Returns over Vincent Price.
Okay. Ghost of Frankenstein straight to the bottom. Totally unexpected. I really didn't think that we'd have any movies.
The Frankenstein films usually, from my knowledge, the Frankenstein films overall hold up as sequels better than some of the other sequels of the other monsters. However, obviously we watched this one, we were all both just like, this one's bad. Like, this is not a good one.
Not just bad, insulting. This is a 100-year-old shameless cash grab. Cash grabs existed even back then. So anyway, but Sir Cedric Hardwicke definitely tried harder than anybody. He tried hardwicker than anybody. There's no joke there to be had. He has earned our toast as the only possible good thing to scrape together for this horrible, horrific piece of shit.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
To Cedric. Don't make everybody go out there and be safe, and don't make a horrible mistake 100 times worse than your father. Cheers.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Red leader, this is gold leader.
Gold leader. I'm about to make my approach.
Red chunt standing by.
Blue chunt standing by.
Ready?
All right, ready.
I'm just gonna rip a fart. Anyway, gabbing off. Turn it the fuck off.